Hi, I'm Rahel Philipose and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about a right-wing activist allegedly cheating a businessman of 5 crore rupees after assuring him of a BJP ticket. We also give you an update on the Sanatana Dharma Row. But first, we talk about the special session of the Parliament. Last month, the government had announced a special session of the Parliament, which is supposed to begin on the 18th of September. This announcement had come just days after the conclusion of the monsoon session, where the Parliament passed several significant bills, like the 3 new bills which will replace the Indian Penal Code, the Code of Criminal Procedure, and the Indian Evidence Act. And so this news came as a surprise to many, including the people within the central government, especially since the agenda for this week-long special session was not made public.
See, honestly speaking, nobody had any clue in the government itself as what was the special session for. Even the Parliamentary Affairs Ministry or the speakers or the Vice President office did not have any clue about agenda that the government was coming up with for the special session.
That was the Indian Express's Liz Mathew, who reports on the BJP for the paper. Now, she says that this led to criticism from opposition parties and sparked various speculations about the ruling party's intentions for convening this session. However, just a few days before the session was going to begin, the government released a bulletin. In this bulletin, which came out on Wednesday, the government outlined the topics that would be addressed during the special session. Here, Liz tells us about these issues.
The government special session, which after a lot of speculation over what would be its agenda, the government last evening came up with a bulletin in which it says that the MPs of both houses will discuss parliamentary journey of 75 years, starting from Samvidhan Sabha, which is Constituent Assembly, achievements, experiences, memories and learnings. This is what the discussion. So the 18th, the discussions will start. Besides this so-called adjective one leader used, pious motive of the special session, the other business listed by the government, which was also very surprisingly, it has some legislative agenda.
She says that the government plans to take up 4 bills for consideration which were introduced and passed in earlier sessions of the Parliament. And what is odd is that according to Liz, none of these bills are significant enough to deserve a special session.
Or urgent, that would be the right word. Urgent in terms of like a legislative agenda of the government. For the Lok Sabha, they have put this Advocates Amendment Bill, the Press and Registration of Periodicals Bill, the Post Office Bill, the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners' appointment, which is slightly controversial because in March, the Supreme Court has specified how the CCs should be appointed. So then the government wants to kind of overthrow that and they want to have their way. That is why this bill. And for the Rajya Sabha, there is another bill which is already passed by the Lok Sabha. The Repealing and Amending Bill 2023, which are like basically to remove some bill, to repeal certain enactments which do not have any relevance. Like I said, none of this is like call for an urgent special session to discuss and pass, to consider and pass.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, the government made the agenda public only on Wednesday. And Liz says that this is because they had called for an all-party meeting on the 17th of September, which is the day before the special session.
So when you call an all-party meeting, you cannot just tell them that, we are calling a special session, you should come. You should specify what is the special session for. They are opposition leaders, they also are elected members. No government can say that you come, we will decide it later. So what I feel is that the government came up with this agenda in the last minute because of the all-party meeting which is to be held on Sunday, one day ahead of the special session's beginning. So I think this is mainly for sending these letters to the opposition party. They had to come up with an agenda for the discussion. That is why this came up.
And Liz says that because of the nature of this agenda, the opposition parties believe that the BJP-led government's actual purpose for this special session differs from what their bulletin claims.
The Congress General Secretary in charge of communication, Jairam Ramesh, posted on X that the Modi government had been compelled to announce it because the opposition, especially Congress leader Sonia Gandhi, had wrote to the Prime Minister So the agenda was published in the last minute, and also Derek O'Brien, Trinamool Congress leader, also said it shouldn't be not to be taken as exhaustive. So they were also saying it has a dirty trick. See, knowing this government and its style of functioning, we cannot predict anything. It might just go with this agenda. It might come up with something big, because this government, even if you look back at the very recent monsoon session also, they have come up with very important bills like changing the CRPC code and all, and also the Evidence Act. They came up with that bill without listing it, without even prior announcing it in advance. So this government has been bringing surprises. So the opposition as well as a large section of the ruling party people, including our sources, think that there could be something else. Otherwise, there was no need for special session unless and until the whole purpose was to discuss the G20 success and the success of the launch of Chandrayaan 3 ahead of the crucial assembly elections in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Telangana and Mizoram, because the winter session will come most probably after the assembly elections only.
And considering the upcoming assembly elections and the Lok Sabha polls, she says that this special session will be significant for the ruling party.
If this is the agenda, all what they want to do is to come up with something that about the achievements of the government and talk about it, how Prime Minister Modi has taken India to another height of glory, and the G20 success, Chandrayaan success, talk about basically to give a progress report to the country, the electorate, through the House.
But even besides this, Liz says that there is also a possibility that the government may take up pending bills that pose a risk of dividing the opposition alliance.
One is women's reservation bill. So there will be a lot of expectation that before they go for election, the Prime Minister Modi would like to have it at his legacy, because as we know, it has been pending before, Rajya Sabha since 2010. And the thing that would be a path-breaking move, it will affect everyone, every party. And it would be an agenda that would divide the opposition. Now, as we know that the BJP, the ruling party, is a bit jittery about the coming together of all the non-BJP parties on a platform against the BJP and Prime Minister Modi. So there is an expectation, or there is this rumor that any agenda which would come up would kind of create some kind of disturbance in this India bloc. Because suppose if it is women's bill, parties like Samajwadi Party and Rashtriya Janata Dal are very crucial, significant part of the India bloc in key political states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. They have difference in the sense they are for the bill, but they want quota within quota, which the Congress and the left parties and many other parties would not agree. So this, whatever would be the agenda, would have some political message in it, basically to keep these people, arguing with each other or giving public statement with each other, some kind of disturbance among the India party. Another issue which is in the talks and the political circles is statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. But there are other version. People say that, it may not happen because the BJP would like to have election first and see that there is BJP getting some kind of dominance. Then only there will be statehood. Otherwise, it will be like Delhi, another party getting a state like Jammu and Kashmir, and the BJP does not have much relevance. The BJP would not like to have it. But still, statehood is something that the government, the BJP would have to give it to Jammu and Kashmir, because in the court also they have promised that we will, and the court has asked them to give a date line and a roadmap for it. So it is on their agenda. So either of this or something else could come up. But it will be politically very significant decision, which would have some differences of opinion among the opposition, about it.
And next we talk about Karnataka. This week, the Karnataka police arrested a woman named Chaitra Kundapur for allegedly cheating a businessman of rupees 5 crore. Now, this wasn't a run-of-the-mill con job. Chaitra and her team of associates managed to pull this off by promising the businessman, 44-year-old Govind Babu Pujari, a BJP ticket in the assembly elections that were held earlier this year. They did this by claiming that they had links to the Prime Minister and Home Minister's offices, and also by posing as top BJP and RSS leaders. And what's significant is that the brains behind the operation, Chaitra Kundapur, is a well-known right-wing activist in coastal Karnataka. The Indian Express's Kiran Parashar tells us more about her.
So in 2014, Chaitra Kundapur came into light after she participated in some of the protests that were carried out by ABVP and pro-Hindu organizations in coastal region. So during those days, she was the only female in Karnataka or in coastal belt who was giving fiery speeches, according to what these Hindu activists say. So she was somebody who was speaking very derogatory and giving provocative speeches in coastal region. And she also faced some of the cases in coastal region over her derogatory speeches.
And Kiran says it was her prominence in right-wing circles that helped her pull off this scam. Chaitra managed to leverage her connection with some senior BJP leaders in coastal Karnataka to con the businessman. Kiran tells us how Chaitra and Govind met.
So, in his complaint, Govind Pujari alleges that he met Chaitra Kundapur in June 2022 and he was asked to come to guest house in Chikmagalur, where he went, and he was introduced to Gagan Kadur. He is basically a secretary of Chikmagalur Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha. So then these people claimed that they have connections with Prime Minister's office and the Home Minister's office and assured him to get a ticket to contest from Baindur constituency.
Kader, the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha or BYJM leader whom Kiran just mentioned, then introduced Govind to someone he claimed was a top RSS leader. In his complaint, Govind says he was told that the RSS leader, a man named Vishwanath, was his key to getting the ticket.
So Pujari believed whatever they claimed, and he said that they would arrange a meeting with Vishwanath, who is a bridge between RSS and BJP, and he will have a powerful say in getting the ticket. So after that, Pujari paid rupees 50 lakhs as per the directions of Vishwanath, and then also he told that he might have to spend more money to get the ticket because he has to pay to a lot of people to get it. Vishwanath also assured Pujari that he would get a ticket, and if he doesn't get a ticket, the money would be returned back.
And Kiran says Pujari was then introduced to a Math seer, whose recommendation he was told would significantly influence the decision regarding the ticket. And here, once again, Pujari was compelled to pay a large sum of money to secure his chances.
So, as per the directions of Vishwanath, Pujari visited the Matsir and paid him rupees 1.5 crore and said that he would do whatever to get the ticket.
And then within a span of a month, Pujari had to cough up another 3 crore rupees when he was introduced to a leader who Vishwanath claimed was part of the BJP's Central Election Committee. Now fast forward to March this year, Pujari received a phone call informing him that Vishwanath had died due to some breathing problems. Having already paid nearly 5 crore rupees to different people on the recommendation of Vishwanath, Pujari began suspecting that something was amiss.
And he called one of his friends, who's a retired defense officer, and asked whether there was a person named Vishwanath who died. Then when his friend checked, it was revealed that there was no RSS leader in the name of Vishwanath working in any part of North India.
This was when Pujari confronted Chaitra and the BYJM leader we mentioned earlier and demanded that he return his money. Pujari claims that Chaitra demanded time to return his money and even threatened to stage a suicide attempt. Pujari also confronted the seer, who said he would return the money but requested to be kept out of the matter. But the question still remained, who was Vishwanath?
Pujari started searching for this person, Vishwanath, because Pujari had seen Vishwanath in person. So then what they realized was there was a person named Ramesh who was paid 1.2 lakh to impersonate the leader. There was no leader in the name of Vishwanath. So Ramesh, in the disguise of an RSS leader, claiming himself to be Vishwanath, made the deal with Pujari. So Pujari was not aware of these things.
He then discovered that the man who was introduced to him as a top BJP leader was actually a street-side kebab vendor in Bengaluru. This time around, when Pujari confronted Chaitra, she threatened to get him imprisoned and even claimed to have underworld connections who could potentially end his life. Kiran tells us what happened next.
So after a case was registered in Bandepalya police station in Bangalore, immediately the city police commissioner transferred the case to Central Crime Branch, which is a special unit of Bangalore City Police, and police tracked down Chaitra and her associates in Udupi while they were returning from the Mutt premises.
According to police sources, Chaitra had taken shelter at a youth Congress leader's house, but the police managed to track her down and she was finally arrested. But some of her associates still remain at large.
There is one person who is yet to be nabbed, but today I spoke to the police officials. They say that this seems to be a big racket or a big network. So there might be more arrests in the upcoming days. So they're saying that it might be more than one person who we are looking out for.
And in the end, we give you an update on the Sanatana Dharma Row. Yesterday, in his first public statement on the matter, the Prime Minister accused the opposition India alliance of seeking to destroy the Sanatana Dharma. Speaking at a rally in Madhya Pradesh, which is gearing up for the polls, the Prime Minister called upon people to be vigilant against attacks on us across the country.
ये इंडी अलायंस की नीति है, एक गमंडिया गठबंधन की नीति है, भारत की संस्कृति पर हमला करने की। इंडी अलायंस का निर्णय है, भारतीयों की आस्था पर हमला करो। इंडी अलायंस गमंडिया गठबंधन की नीयत है, भारत को जिस विचारों ने, जिस संस्कारों ने, जिस परंपराओं ने हजारों वर्ष से जोड़ा है, उसे तबाह कर दो। जिस सनातन से
He said, quote, every follower of Sanatan, everyone who loves this country, loves the soil of this country, everyone needs to be vigilant. They want to crush Sanatan and push this country back into 1,000 years of slavery. But together we must stop such forces, unquote. Later at a speech in Chhattisgarh, Prime Minister reiterated his allegations against the opposition bloc, saying that the alliance is conspiring against India. The controversy over Sanatana Dharma started earlier this month when the Minister for Sports and Youth Affairs, Udhayanidhi Stalin, and the son of Chief Minister M.K. Stalin said, quote, few things cannot be opposed, they should be abolished. We can't oppose dengue, mosquitoes, malaria or corona, we have to eradicate them. In the same way, we have to eradicate Sanatana rather than opposing it, unquote. Since then, multiple BJP leaders have called these remarks an indication of the anti-Hindu leanings of the DMK and India coalition. In fact, Union Minister Rajnath Singh hit out at the opposition bloc's silence over Udhayanidhi's comments, warning that the nation will not forgive them until they apologize. He asked why Congress leaders Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Ashok Gehlot are silent on the issue.
और सनातन धर्म का के ऊपर भी चोट पहुंचाई जा रही है। इन्हीं के गठबंधन के लोगों ने, डीएमके ने चोट पहुंचाई है और इस पर कांग्रेस चुप्पी साफ कर बैठी हुई है। मैं गहलोत साहब से कहना चाहता हूं, आप क्यों नहीं बोलते? क्यों नहीं सोनिया जी बोलती? क्यों नहीं राहुल जी बोलते? क्यों नहीं खड़गे बोलते कि सनातन धर्म के बारे में आपकी सोच क्या है? और बहनों भाइयों,
Now, the PM's accusations against the opposition come just days before the special session of Parliament. Sources within the BJP have told the Indian Express that the government hopes to blunt the opposition attacks in the House by using the controversy. Earlier, in an interaction with his ministers before the G20 summit, the PM had told them to strongly counter opposition leaders regarding the Sanatana Dharma dispute. In response to Modi's allegations, the Congress had accused the PM of using a government event to deliver a political speech abusing the opposition. Congress General Secretary Jairam Ramesh wrote on X, and I quote, "The PM is back to doing what he does best, insult. Look who's talking, the man who used the occasion of a government function to abuse the opposition. Stooping to his level, one could easily say he heads the GANDA coalition, Gautam Adani's NDA, unquote." You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. It was written and produced by me, Rahel Philipose, Shashank Bhargava and Utsa Sarmin, who originally spoke to Liz for the first segment. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone who you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts or write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.